I've lived in this house for nearly 5 years now, right on the edge of the woods. It's quiet, peaceful, and far enough from the city that I can breathe without hearing traffic. My dog, Jasper, has always loved it here. He's a big German shepherd, the kind of dog that barks at mailmen, but curls up like a baby when he's tired. But over the last month, he's been different. Every night, without fail, around 2:00 a.m., he plants himself by the back door and growls. Not the playful bark he uses on squirrels. Not even his warning bark when someone's at the driveway. This is low, guttural, like he's warning something not to come closer. At first, I thought it was coyotes, maybe a bear, but I checked, nothing, not even tracks. And then Jasper started refusing to go outside at night. He would just sit by the door, hackles raised, barking at the tree line. 2 nights ago, I left the blinds open while I watched him. Around 2:15, he stood stiff as stone, staring at one specific spot in the woods. His growl turned into frantic barking, so loud it made my skin crawl. I grabbed my flashlight, half angry, half scared, and stepped onto the porch. The woods looked empty, silent, too silent. No crickets, no wind, nothing. But Jasper refused to move, his gaze locked on that one patch of darkness between the trees. I thought I saw something, a shape, tall, standing completely still. But when I swung the light toward it, the beam caught nothing but trees. Last night, I finally saw it. The barking started again, but this time it didn't stop. It was wild, desperate, like Jasper was begging me not to open the door. But I did. The woods were darker than usual, as if the moonlight refused to touch them. I raised my flashlight, and that's when I saw the eyes. Dozens of them, glowing faint blue, scattered through the trees, all pointed at me. And then, just above Jasper's growl, I heard it. A voice. Not human, not animal. Something deep, rasping, almost like it was trying to imitate speech. It said my name. I slammed the door shut, locked it, and sat on the floor holding Jasper until sunrise. I haven't gone back out there since, but tonight I can already hear him growling again. Louder, closer, and now there's a knock at my back door. The knocking at the back door didn't stop. It was slow, deliberate, almost polite. Knock, knock, knock. Jasper pressed against me, his teeth bared, a low growl rumbling in his chest. I couldn't bring myself to move. Every nerve in my body screamed that if I opened that door, I wouldn't be closing it again. Then I heard it, that same rasping voice from the woods. This time, it wasn't whispering from the trees. It was right outside. It said my name again, clearer, closer. And then, God help me, it mimicked Jasper's bark. Not perfectly. Too slow, too distorted, like something had studied his voice but couldn't quite get it right. I backed away from the door, dragging Jasper by his collar, and grabbed the phone. But when I tried to dial 911, the line was dead. No signal, power flickered and the house fell into darkness. That's when I realized the knocking wasn't coming from the door anymore. It was coming from the walls, different sides of the house, in quick, scattered taps. As if something was circling me, testing every corner. Jasper spun in frantic circles, barking in every direction, his fur standing on end. And then silence. I don't know how long I sat there, clutching Jasper, flashlight shaking in my hand. But just before dawn, I forced myself to look outside again. And that's when I saw it. In the middle of my backyard stood a figure. Too tall, its limbs bent wrong, its head cocked at an unnatural angle. In one of its hands, if you can call them that, it was holding something. My spare house key, the one I'd lost weeks ago. Now Jasper won't leave my side. He stopped barking, but his eyes keep darting toward the hallway, like he's waiting for something to come through. And as I'm writing this, I just heard the sound of a lock turning from inside the house. The sound of the lock turning froze me in place. For a moment, I convinced myself I imagined it, that the fear, the lack of sleep, had finally cracked me. But then Jasper snapped his head toward the hallway, lips curled back, growling at something I couldn't see. The lock clicked again, this time louder, not from the back door, but from inside, from the basement. I didn't even remember locking that door. I grabbed a kitchen knife, hand trembling so badly I could barely hold it. Jasper pressed against my leg as I crept toward the basement door, each creak of the floorboards like a gunshot in the silence. When I reached it, the knob was slowly twisting on its own. I raised the knife, bracing myself. Then it stopped. I held my breath, and from the other side came a sound that nearly made me drop the blade Jasper's bark. But Jasper was right next to me. I stumbled back, my dog snarling now, every muscle in his body rigid. Something heavy began to climb the basement steps, dragging against the wood, slow and deliberate. I slammed the door shut just as the first thud hit the other side. The whole frame rattled. Dust rained from the ceiling. Something was trying to get out. And then, between the pounding blows, I heard the voice again. The same one from the woods. Only this time, it wasn't saying my name. It was repeating my address. Over and over. I ran to the front door, thinking I could make it out, maybe reach the road. But when I flung it open, my stomach dropped. The figure from the backyard was standing right there, closer now, head tilted, those faint blue eyes fixed on me. And it wasn't alone. Behind it, through the trees, dozens of pale faces stared back. Every one of them looked like people I knew. Neighbors, friends, even a coworker. But their eyes, all of them, glowed the same unnatural blue. I slammed the door shut, heart hammering. Jasper barked furiously at the basement as another crash shook the house. And then, through the noise, I realized something terrifying. The voice from below wasn't just repeating my address anymore. It was listing names, my family's names. when I heard the voice in the basement start listing my family's names. Something inside me broke. It wasn't just saying them, it was savoring them. Slow, deliberate, like it already owned them. I shouted at it to stop, but the only response was a deep thud against the basement door that nearly cracked the wood. Jasper barked so violently I thought he'd hurt himself, and then silence. For a moment, I thought it was over, that maybe whatever was down there had given up. But then I noticed something that made my blood run cold. The names hadn't stopped. They were still being spoken, but not from the basement. From outside, I pulled the curtain back just enough to peek. The figures in the woods weren't just standing there anymore. They were chanting. My family's names rolling out of dozens of mouths in that same broken, rasping imitation of speech. I dropped the curtain, heart racing, and that's when Jasper bolted. He lunged at the front door, pawing and clawing at the knob like he was desperate to get out. He never done that before. It was like he was trying to escape me, not protect me. Jasper, I shouted, grabbing him by the collar, but he thrashed against me, teeth snapping inches from my arm. That's when I realized his eyes. In the dim light, I caught it. A faint shimmer of blue. I staggered back, horrified, as Jasper growled, not at the woods, but at me. Before I could react, a deafening crash came from the kitchen. Glass shattered everywhere. One of the windows had blown inward, shards scattering across the tile, and through it crawled one of them. Not tall and stiff like the figure outside. This one was wrong in a different way. Its limbs bent too many times, joints snapping audibly as it pulled itself inside. Its head rotated too far, too smoothly, until those glowing eyes locked onto mine. Behind me, Jasper started wagging his tail. Now I'm trapped. My dog is turning against me. The house is breaking open, and the woods outside are alive with voices chanting the names of everyone I care about. And the thing in my kitchen just spoke the next one. It wasn't my family. It was mine. Hearing my own name in that broken, rasping voice made my stomach twist. It wasn't just repeating it. It was drawing it out, like it was trying to wear my name as its own. The creature in the kitchen slowly straightened itself, bones popping like dry twigs. Its eyes flared brighter, blue spilling across the shattered glass on the floor. Behind me, Jasper whined, tail still wagging as if greeting an old friend. And then the thing smiled. Not wide, not human, just enough to show rows of teeth that weren't meant to fit inside a mouth. It said my name again, louder, clearer. I stumbled backward, knife clutched tight, but the air around me shifted. I felt it in my chest, like the house itself was being pulled into those woods. The lights flickered, the walls creaked, and for a moment, I swore the windows no longer showed my backyard at all. They showed trees, endless rows of trees, stretching into blackness. I blinked, and the image was gone, replaced with my own reflection in the cracked glass. Except it wasn't me. The reflection smiled. I dropped the curtain and staggered back into the living room, gasping. Jasper barked once, sharply, then sat, ears perked, staring at the basement door again. The pounding from below had returned, harder than before. Wood splintered, the hinges squealed. Whatever was down, there wasn't content with scratching at the door anymore. I yelled, but my voice was drowned out by something far worse. My phone lit up on the table. No service, but a new notification. A text message from my own number. It said, "Let US in." Before I could react, the basement door burst off its hinges, slamming against the wall. Dust filled the air. Something was climbing out. Not one of the bent, bone-snapping things from the woods. This one looked human, too human. My height, my build, my face. It looked right at me and whispered in my voice, "You're not supposed to be here." And then Jasper got up, wagged his tail, and walked straight toward it. The sight of Jasper wagging his tail at me was worse than anything so far. His ears perked, tongue lolling, tail thumping like he'd just been reunited with his real owner. The thing in the basement, the thing wearing my face, knelt down and scratched behind Jasper's ears. My dog melted into its touch like he'd been waiting for this moment all along. "I told you," it whispered in my voice, eyes never leaving mine. "You're not supposed to be here." I staggered back, my knife trembling in my grip. "You're not me," I said, but I didn't even believe it. It tilted its head, smirking in a way I'd never seen myself smirk. "Aren't I? Look at him. He knows." Jasper barked once, happy, excited, then pressed himself against the thing's leg. My stomach turned. The doppelganger raised its hand, and for a moment, its skin rippled like black water. My face dissolved, then snapped back into place. It was trying on my identity, like a mask. I ran for the front door. I didn't care what waited outside. I just had to get out. But when I yanked it open, my breath caught. The figures in the woods had moved closer. Not standing at the tree line anymore, but lined up neatly along my porch, shoulder to shoulder, faces tilted in eerie unison. All of them glowing blue, all of them smiling, and every single one wearing a version of my face. I slammed the door shut, heart hammering. Behind me, the other me laughed softly, a sound so wrong in my own tone, it made my skin crawl. "You still don't get it," it said. "You think you're the original." The walls of the house groaned, the lights flickered again, and through the windows, the forest pressed closer, swallowing the horizon. I backed into the living room, clutching the knife, but froze as my phone lit up on the table once more. Another message, same sender, same number, my number. "We only need one of you." The other me stood slowly, Jasper at its side, both of them staring at me with identical eyes. And then it whispered, "So which one are you?" The words on the screen burned into my mind. "We only need one of you. I looked from the phone to the thing wearing my face. It stood calm, steady, while I shook with fear. Jasper stayed by its side, tail thumping against the floor like he'd already made his choice. My knife felt like nothing in my hand. "You're not me," I whispered, voice breaking. It tilted its head, that smirk stretching wider. Funny, I was about to say the same thing. Then it moved, faster than me, faster than human. It lunged, and in that moment, I did the only thing I could. I swung. Steel cut flesh. Warm blood sprayed across my arm. The thing staggered, clutching its side, and for a split second, I thought I'd won. But then Jasper barked at me, his eyes glowing bright blue now, and I realized I wasn't sure which of us I had cut. The world tilted, my vision blurred. My own reflection in the shattered glass flickered, sometimes me, sometimes it. My body felt heavy, unfamiliar, like I was falling out of myself. The other me straightened, blood staining its shirt, and smiled through clenched teeth. Almost there, it hissed, almost decided. The chanting outside grew louder. The voices rose in unison, all of them wearing my tone, my words, my name. The walls shook as if the whole house was being pulled into their world. I dropped the knife. My knees hit the floor. Jasper licked my face once, whining, but his eyes never lost that glow. The last thing I remember before blacking out was the sound of the front door creaking open. I woke up this morning in my bed, sunlight spilling through the window, my phone beside me, everything normal. Almost, because Jasper is gone. And when I checked the mirror, for a moment, I didn't recognize the face staring back. The smile wasn't mine.